Darwin's voyage of HMS Beagle and his observations. Charles Darwin, 1809-1882, was an English naturalist and is regarded as the pioneer of evolutionary idea for his theory of origin of species by natural selection, published in book Origin of Species. After graduation from Cambridge, Darwin was appointed as a naturalist by Professor Henslow on the ship Beagle, which had to make a 5 year cruise round the world, preparing navigation charts for British Navy. Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin started the voyage believing in the fixity of species or theory of special creation. He spent most of his time in collecting and studying thousands of animals and plants. Strange animals greeted his eye, and he was impressed by the unique adaptation of these organisms. He was surprised to see diversity of giant tortoises and finches, 13 types in Galapagos Islands west of Ecuador. He noticed that fauna and flora of South America was distinct from the life forms of Europe. Darwin was impressed by the peculiar geographical distribution and distinctive interrelationship among species. This experience eventually led him to the idea that new species originate from ancestral forms by gradual accumulation of adaptation. The long delayed publication of Darwin's On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection 1859 was catalyzed by Alfred Wallace, who independently arrived at the theory of natural selection. Salient features of Darwin Wallace theory are overproduction, struggle for existence, variation, natural selection, or survival of the fittest, speciation or origin of new species, overproduction. Each population of organisms has the potential to reproduce large numbers of offspring. Since environmental resources, food, space, nutrients, etc., are generally limited, so limited numbers of offspring survive due to competition on these resources. Struggle for existence. Since more individuals are born than can survive, there is a severe competition termed by Darwin a struggle for existence. Such competition may involve struggle for food, space, mates, and other necessities of life or against adverse climatic conditions of environment. The struggle for existence aims at self-preservation and self-perpetuation in general. The struggle for existence may be threefold in nature: intraspecific struggle are rivals, competition between members of same species. Interspecific struggle are prey or predation competition between members of different species. Extra-specific are environmental struggle, struggle against forces of nature. Variation. Individuals show great variation of form, size, color, habit, and physiology. Among themselves, no two individuals are alike, not even identical twins, monozygote. According to Darwin, variation is heritable and is of two kinds. Harmful variations. These hinder and handicap the individuals in the struggle and place them at great disadvantage, which many result in its experimentation. Useful variations. These provide an advantage to the possessor over other and therefore increase the chances of survival. Natural selection or survival of the fittest. This is main point in this theory. Darwin argued that in the struggle for existence, only those individuals survive which possess advantageous variation over the unfortunate counterparts. The unit perish. Darwin called it natural selection, while Herbert Spencer used the term survival of the fittest. Thus, the fittest are automatically selected and the unfit are eliminated by nature. Speciation or origin of species, the selection of the surviving individuals transmit their useful and successful variation to the succeeding generations. These resulting generations may produce descendants which are quite different from their ancestors, therefore enough to be declared as a separate species. Neo-Darwinism. Neo-Darwinism is the modern synthesis. Since natural selection was proposed, advances in genetics, biochemistry, ecology, and paleontology have enabled scientists to identify mutation, genetic drift, and genetic flow as other natural forces of evolutionary change. The pioneering work of Meyer, Sampson, and many others led to what became known as the modern synthesis. New Darwinism, which emphasizes the role of genetics and explaining how evolution works. The modern theory accepts five major causes of evolution: gene and chromosomal mutation, genetic recombination, natural selection, genetic drift, reproductive isolation. Gene mutation. As you know that both gene and chromosomal mutation can bring about variation. These variation can lead to evolution. Genetic recombination. Reshuffling of genes occurs during sexual reproduction. Meiosis causes random assortment of genes during synapses and rearrangement of parental and maternal chromosomes in both kinds of gametes. Such reassortment of genes is one of the bases for the appearance of new genetic recombinations in the organism. Crossing over of genes during meiosis also adds to the variation. Thus, new combination of characteristics in the organism add to genetic variability. Natural selection. Natural selection uses the variation and mutation as the raw material for better survival. Thus, natural selection due to environment always exerts a selective influence and molds the species to fit in its changed environment. Genetic drift. Genetic drift is concerned with changes in gene frequencies in small population. By chance, the gene frequencies will continue to fluctuate until a new mutation is either lost or fixed. When species moves from its original home into a new area, the individuals are not fully fitted to the new environment. They are thus exposed to mutations with their gene pool markedly different from the parent population. Moreover, when a species is expanding continuously, the population invade new areas and become more different genetically after establishing themselves in those areas. This finally results in the modification of these populations into new species. Therefore, genetic drift determines evolution. Reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation is regarded as one of the most important factors of evolution. It does not permit interbreeding among the individuals of different species. It helps in splitting of the species and in the establishment of new species, which is responsible for bringing about evolution. Evidences of evolution. New species are evolved by decentralized modification from a common ancestor. There are many facts and evidences from almost all subdivisions of biological science which prove that evolution has occurred. Some of these evidences are as follows. Evidences from comparative anatomy.